It's the one-season show, Tron Uprising. This is one of those series that everybody was telling me I have to watch. It's so good, it's actually even better than that Tron movie that came out a few years earlier. And when I finally sat down and watched it, yeah, they were right, but it was kind of a slow burn to get there. But it kinda doesn't matter because it's such an amazing looking show anyway, with one hell of a voice cast. A mechanic named Beck, played by Elijah Wood, is training under the original renegade Tron, voiced by Bruce Boxleitner, the Tron from the first film. They're under the rule of General Tessler, voiced by Lance Hendrickson, who answers to Clue, the bad guy from Tron Legacy. Beck poses as Tron the same way Antonio Banderas posed as Zorro, to convince people that Tron isn't dead, that he's still as young and strong as ever and a revolution will be happening. Some people have mixed feelings, like his mechanic co-workers Zed and Mara, played by Nate Cordy and Mandy Moore, but every episode the Renegade tries to take down this terrible dictatorship and yeah, that's pretty much it. For the most part. Okay, how do I explain this? The first half of the season is kinda like a Monster of the Week show or a Home Improvement episode. There's a formula. Beck tries to do something to throw Tessler off. Tessler screams to the gods and tells them to get that renegade. His mechanic friends always have a conversation whether Tron is good or bad, and of course, wonder why Beck is always late to work. And Tron always has some tough life lesson. Rinse, repeat, nothing much to it. But for whatever reason, everything suddenly got interesting when a character named Dyson came in halfway through. He's played by John Glover, and you find out there's this past between him and Tron, and you go a little bit more into the history, and the funny thing is, Dyson is only in one episode. I mean, he might cameo here and there, but it's not like this one character transformed the show. But for whatever reason, all of a sudden, the stories start to change a little bit. There's more conflict, more confrontation, more backstory. More people changing their minds, more people changing sides. Some go from good to bad, some go from bad to good. We even get the story about how Beck joins Tron. Stuff that I didn't think they were ever gonna answer, I kinda just got used to the formula. But in a funny way, that kinda made it more interesting. It's like an Avatar when you got to the episode about the storm. Yeah, the show was good and there was a lot to admire, but that episode suddenly elevated everything to a new level, and everything after it seemed to just get better and better. But even before then, there was still a lot of stuff that was very impressive. Like I said before, the voice cast. Everyone is doing a stellar job. They're even taking some of these commonly used cliched lines that you've heard in a million other kid shows and make it sound so much more dramatic and important. I especially love Paul Reubens as the slimy second-in-command who's always the kiss ass and always trying to get the credit, and yeah, I usually hate these characters because they're so boring, but he just adds this psychotic life to the character that's so much fun to watch.
Seems like Tesla's on shaky ground. You don't think Clue's considering demoting him? Nah, me neither.
Whenever he screams like a madman, he sounds just like Pee-wee, but it doesn't sound distracting. It actually really helps the character out. Whenever he jumps around going, ah, ah, you're both kind of laughing, but kind of intimidated by him too. It's just a great character. Something else that's also amazing about the show? The look. I don't know what the name of this style is, but I've seen it a lot and I love it. I saw it in that Zima Blue episode of Love, Death, and Robots. I saw it in that World Record episode of Animatrix. And I feel like as technology gets better in animation, so does this style. Everything from the designs, the colors, the angles. This is a gorgeous show. I've honestly never seen anything quite like it, even though I've referenced those other shorts and shows before. This is a whole new level. Like going from Charles Fleischer's Superman to Batman the Animated Series. Yeah, it's a similar style, but you can just tell everything was improved on, evolving it to something really unique. I usually don't get too into that style where it's CG, but it's supposed to kinda look like it was hand-drawn, but you know it's still clearly CG. But here it works because it's supposed to look really flat. It's supposed to be very simple shapes and very sharp colors, and piercing blacks and wide lenses, and imagery that you practically want to frame with every shot. It's funny because the original Tron had a very distinct look. Nobody ever really saw anything like that. And then Tron Legacy came along, took that look, and evolved it into something a little different, but you could still tell it was Tron. Now you have Tron Uprising, who's taking the look of Tron Legacy, also kind of doing something different with it, but you can still tell it's that same universe. I love how this art style has mutated so much, yet it's still familiar. You know what it is, you recognize it as Tron. I also gotta say, for a supposed kid show, there is a high-ass death count in this. Yeah, I know they just say they're de-resed or whatever, but a lot of people who are alive and conscious are suddenly not. Whatever you want to call that, it's pretty intense. Which is why I wish the first half of the show would have more of a story and dialogue that would reflect that intensity. But I guess I shouldn't complain because we do get that eventually, just halfway through. So yeah, I still highly recommend it. If you don't really get into the story and characters at first, stick with it, it does get better. And if for some reason it's still not grabbing you, just admire the look of it. I really think this is one of those shows people are gonna look back on and say, man, this was ahead of its time, this was revolutionary, nobody was doing shows quite like this. Again, with the design and style in terms of character and story, it gets there. Whether you like the Tron movies, don't like them, like one but not the other, this is definitely worth taking a look at. It might be a slow burn, but it delivers one hell of a beautiful fire.